Hi everybody, I'm Mr. Pinza, and if you don't know me, welcome. Thank you for finding my channel and stopping by. I'm an educator that's been working in California for over 20 years. I've been a classroom teacher. I've also been an administrator, and now I find myself as a proud principal. And I've also been able to do some district and some state level work in education as well. And I hope that this can be the start of a short little series of videos that can help young people, educators, and really people of all kinds process what it's been like to be in school during the fall of 2020. So I hope that some of my current and former students have found their way here. I hope some of the many wonderful teachers that I've been able to work with and the other school staff members are able to see this. And I just want to be able to share what these teachers and other school staff and students have been experiencing. If you are a student or an educator, whether you've worked with me before or not, I hope that this video can affirm some of your experiences as well. And most importantly, I hope that by creating a space where we can be honest about our challenges, our successes, our anxieties, and our accomplishments, then we can work through all the chaos and the noise of 2020 and maybe emerge on the other side feeling okay. And right now, I would settle for okay. Because my school has been in session for about 7 weeks, completely online, and it's been the most difficult start to a school year in my career. And it's every staff member that I talk to, a teacher or a secretary, a counselor or a custodian, everyone says that this has been the most difficult start to a school year in their career. And just about every one of the students that I've been able to talk to or get a message from, they all say that it's been the most difficult start to a school year that they have ever experienced. So I think the first thing that we really need to acknowledge is that students are talking about how much more work they are trying to complete to stay on top of their classes, and teachers are talking about the exact same thing. How many more hours it takes to construct and deliver and grade all of the assignments. So let's just collectively acknowledge that everyone in our schools is feeling crushed under a workload that feels exponentially heavier than it's ever been. And the collective anxiety and stress and exhaustion have never been higher. And we're barely through September. So if this sense of emotional overwhelm that we're all feeling is like a cave where we sit surrounded by darkness, we've got to find a flashlight, even one of those little tiny ones that can pierce through with some light and maybe show us a way out. Because we have 9 more months of this. Even if we can have classes on campus some way, we're still going to be in the middle of a pandemic, and so we're still going to have some kind of bizarre rotations or restrictions. Maybe it's some kind of hybrid model where half the class is on Zoom and the other half sit in desks surrounded by plexiglass so they look like 15 little penalty boxes from a hockey game. No matter what it looks like in the future, we're in for a long haul. So the first thing I'd like us all to have is a space for us to just share our story. Brené Brown has a really good device for this, and she calls it the story I'm telling myself. I first read about this device in her book, Dare to Lead, and her website actually has a whole section called Daring Classrooms, and I highly recommend that you visit that website. You can pick up a little activity sheet that explains this concept. I also highly recommend reading Dare to Lead. It is easily one of the highlights of my 2020. So in the book, She explains how our brains crave stories that make sense of partial information, especially in situations that are emotionally charged. She says, quote, "In the absence of data, we make up stories because having complete information is a self-protective survival skill. But these stories often magnify our fears and anxieties. When we learn how to get curious and reality check the stories we make up, we can increase our resilience and reset faster after failures, setbacks, and disappointments." So if we start outlining our experiences, especially the narrative that we think is bringing us to this highly emotional state, and we start with "the story I'm telling myself is," we can be 100% authentic while also recognizing that our emotions may be hijacking some parts of the story. We're all so frustrated by the limitations that online learning imposes upon us, especially the fact that we can't all occupy the same space. I'm a principal and I'm used to walking around school at lunchtime, saying hey to 10 or 20 students and at least half a dozen teachers in 30 minutes. Now I eat lunch alone every day. I can't stand that. But the story I tell myself about eating lunch alone quickly spirals into self-doubt and anxiety. Maybe I'm a bad principal because I'm not finding enough creative ways to connect with students and staff members at lunchtime. Maybe I should be delivering lunches to students' houses. Should I call up food services and see if they'll hire me? I can't be a good leader if I don't have a virtual lunchroom where teachers can log in and see me, even though we've all done 3 hours straight of video conferencing. Would it be safe to have picnics in the quad once a week at school? You see how crazy it gets? And how quickly? The story I'm telling myself is that my lunchtime loneliness is a sign that I'm a bad principal. And when I say that out loud, it seems a little nuts, right? But I'll bet if teachers and students tried this out, especially if they did it together as a class, we might discover that we all fall into the same trap. Either we spiral into self-criticism or we lash out at other people, right? We blame the students who don't turn on their cameras, or the teachers that pile on so much work, or it's the inventors of Zoom, or the creators of Google Docs, or the governor, or the president, or the coronavirus itself. Be honest. How many of you have absolutely raged against a microscopic virus over the past 9 months? The rage is real, and the heartache is very real. But because there are so many unknowns, and especially because we're so isolated from each other, the story we tell ourselves can often feed all the irrational emotions until we're left with an irrational story. So, if the first step out of that dark cave is to shine a light on ourselves, and as a school, we have to make those spaces for students and staff members to share with each other those stories that we're telling ourselves. I work in a high school. Well, what if our best bet at getting through this year is as simple as kindergarten story time? Making time for each of us to relay the stories that are running through our minds. In fact, if you're a part of my school, we have a wonderful opportunity to practice this. The first progress reports are in the process of being mailed home. See, I just saw 30 students get anxiety right now. So ask yourself, what is the story I'm telling myself about my grades? And teachers, when you look at the summary sheet for your classes, I'll bet some emotions get stirred up there too. So what is the story that you are telling yourself about how your students performed? I invite you all to tell those stories using exactly this framework to each other. See what you can learn about each other's perspectives and what you can learn about yourself and your own narratives. If we can explain what we're going through and process our adversity together, then I think the cave will get a little brighter and we'll be able to see where we should take our next steps. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time. Take care, everybody.